Okay, so if you remember the discussion, we were talking about Azure Data Factory. And Azure Data Factory is a technology using which we can perform the data engineering activities. The data engineering activities is nothing but performing ETL. If you know about ETL, E stands for extraction, T stands for transformation, and L stands for loading. Correct? It means uh, in our organizations, right? What is happening? We have a lot of business data available, right? For example, if you have a sales store, you will be selling, number of entities, number of material, you know and there would be a lot of sales data available, right? Every day one customer come and they purchase the commodities, right? And they are giving the money, so this entire information is getting recorded in form of data. Those data, if we have to see the sales health or sales growth, what is the sales happening for entire week, what we have to do, we should be having one data available in one database, correct? So, and we also talked about the on-premise and on-cloud functionality, right? So if you talked about on-premise is nothing but if we have our database managed by the company. For example, you have company name Pepsi. Okay, Pepsi business is to manufacture the cold drinks, right? And sell these cold drinks to the consumers and their customers, like Big Bazaar is their customer, Walmart is their customer, right? And from those Big Bazaar and Walmart, we are the consumers who are consuming those cold drinks, right? But if you give a burden to these companies to manage the database also, what will happen? There will be a lot of problem for them to manage because they have to invest money, they have to hire a team, right? So instead of that, there are some companies in the market, for example Google, for example Amazon and Microsoft. What they are doing, they are giving the cloud option. The option of cloud means now they are telling to the Pepsi that you don't have to manage all these database at your level. You can just pay a rent to me and I will be managing all the data for you in my database, correct? By doing this, you would be in a comfortable zone to run your own business. No need to step in and manage the database, manage the team, and blah blah things, right? So this is the definition of on-premise and on-cloud. Now, when we are talking about Azure Data Factory, in this presentation, you can see that we have purchased some furniture, right? And that furniture has to, deliver in my home address. So what the basic components we need? The first component we need is the key address of the shop from where we have to pick up this, furniture. So key address is very much important. Then what we will do? Then we will deassemble this furniture and pack in a cargo. And with the help of some, cargo vehicle, we can move this to to our home. And where my home is located, we need the key address for my home as well. And then we have to, some information should be there how we will assemble this furniture, right? So you can see this entire activity is taken care by a delivery man. Okay, similarly we have n number of delivery men who are doing this work, and those delivery men are getting managed by some delivery manager, right? So the entire reason of telling this story is to correlate you how data factory works, right? Because in data factory we have to create some of the components. Okay, just a second, let me see if my recording is in progress or not. Yes, it is. Okay. Okay, guys, so um, if you see the below line, right, this this is nothing but a components of Azure Data Factory. For example, we discussed about Azure Blob. I don't know whether you are aware of, you recollect that memory or not, but Azure Blob is nothing but a technology under which you have to store the data in Azure. Okay, so Azure is a cloud. Okay, in this cloud, for example, if I simply give you a file, okay, CSV file or text file, what you will do, you will open in your laptop, you will store in the as a CSV format, as a text format, or as an Excel format, correct? At the same time, when I give you the files related to media files, some media file, MP3 files, right, or some JPG file, will you also use the same text or Excel to load it, guys? You cannot save this to the text or Excel, right? Or not even in the Word document. Why? Because file format will not support it. Okay. In that case, you need some JPG or MP3 file support system in your laptop. In similar way, we have one common element which is known as Azure Blob Storage. Now, this Azure Blob Storage is a functionality of Azure which can hold all kind of data. It means it can hold your CSV file, it can hold your Excel file, it can hold your text file, it can hold your MP3 file, media and non-media file as well, right? So because you have to store the data in Azure, right? So definitely your source data will be in Excel, but actually it is getting stored into Azure Blob. Okay. Similarly, we discussed yesterday what are the different kinds of, just a second, I'm just opening one Excel for your reference. Okay. So in Azure, okay, in Azure Cloud, we have an option to store the data in Azure Blob Storage. Okay. We have option to Azure the store the data in Azure ADLS Gen 2. Agreed, guys? So this is the option. In Azure Blob Storage, we can store all kind of files. All kind of files means we can store CSV, we can store, you know, Excel, we can store text, we can store media and non-media, everything. Okay. However, in ADLS Gen 2, media and non-media files are not getting stored. Okay. So that's why you can see that uh, we have Azure Blob. We will come into the picture, okay? And we have link services. Link services nothing but a connection string, okay? Connection string between your source to target. So this is the target actually, right? So you can see the link services is used here and here. Why? Because this entire thing is known as Azure Data Factory pipeline. Okay. First of all, I will show you what pipeline we have created. So, uh, guys, what is this? Can anyone please tell me? The in first class we have created this. If you see the naming convention, SA stand. No, no, storage account. Okay, 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 okay. Got it. Hmm. So, guys, when we started working in Azure, okay, the first thing we did is we have purchased a subscription. Okay, my subscription is free and you will also be using free subscription for some 1 month. So first thing is subscription. So imagine my subscription is free. Okay, then under subscription we have to create a resource group. Okay, and what is the meaning of resource group? For example, I am having a project name as grocery store. Okay, so for this project, I need to purchase a subscription. I have purchased it, and I know for to implement this project, grocery store, correct? I have to use the components like Azure Data Factory. I have to use the components like storage account. Okay, I have to use the components like you can say Azure ML Imagine, right? So whatever component I have to use, that should be defined under this resource group. Okay, so that it should be easily identified that this ADF is only related to grocery stores. So we have to create a resource group, and immediately after creating a resource group we have to create a storage account. Okay, so storage account is nothing but you can say you have you got the access of the Azure cloud. Imagine, correct? Now within this Azure cloud, you can create n number of storage accounts. Means it's a partition within the cloud. Okay. So you imagine this cloud is having unlimited memory. Okay. Or maybe you can say this is having 1000 TBs of memory. Imagine. Okay. If you are selecting a data center of India, you can see the in India data center, while creating the Azure storage account, you have an option to select the data centers. Okay. For example, Azure is a product given by Microsoft. Okay. So there will be multiple data centers located across the world. For example, we have Central US, we have East US, we have West US. Similarly, we have East India, West India, Central India, Australia, Japan. There is a lot of, data centers available. So when you are creating the storage account, you can choose any of the option. Okay, so that your data will be stored in their data center. But in their data center you cannot store in entire data center. Like if data center capacity is 1000 TB, then you need to first create a storage account for your project. Okay, so whatever memory you will use, you will be charged only for that thing, correct? So that's why the account has to be created. Okay, so similarly in our project we have created a storage account. Okay, if you clicked on the storage account, okay, you can see that it is created under this resource group. Okay, it is of with the free trial subscription and all. So let me first help you to create the storage account. Okay, because I know it's not easy for few days, right? So see the options. So here, if we go to the home page of what? Portal.azure.com home, correct? You will log in with this ID. Okay, you will be having your own ID. Then you have to click on create services, create a resource. Okay, if you click here, you have to just choose a resource, and you can write here also. I want to create a storage account first, right? So I can use storage. Okay, sorry, storage account, right? So this has come. If I select this, okay, I can get the option to create a storage account. I will create a storage account. Okay, then in a storage account the subscription has to be selected. So mine is already selected. Okay, but if you have other subscription, you can select that. Then you have to select the resource group. Mine is already selected because I have already created this. If you want to create a new resource group, you can create it. You can simply click here, give the name, and the resource group will be created. Okay, but you don't have to create multiple resource group. Only one resource group should be there, tagged for one project. Okay, so this is the resource group. If I click any storage account like SA test, okay, something like that, so this storage account is already existing. Where it is existing? Within this region. That's why I cannot create it. Okay, as a test one, let's see. This is also taken. Okay, so it means that this data, whatever you are storing data, will be the part of entire US, East US. Similarly, you can select any of the regions. So these are the list of data centers. Agreed, guys? So this is how you can create a storage account. Then you will have to click on review and create. It will be created. Any questions as of now before I proceed, guys? So this is how you have created the storage account. Okay, we have created it already, so I'm not going to create it. Okay, okay. Now storage account is ready. Now the definition of a storage account is, it's nothing but a partition within your Azure cloud. And Azure cloud, or you can say within your data center. For example, if I selected data center for East US, right? So a small storage account will, or space will be assigned to you. Currently it is not using any memory. Okay, because you have not put anything. If you put any file inside the storage account, this will be consumed by memory. Okay, Now coming to the question, what is the use of the storage account? Okay, so basically this storage account is giving you a slot, is giving you a space where you can insert the data. Okay, for example, if you bring the data from, because I told you Azure Data Factory is basically a data engineering tool, so you can say it's a ETL tool. Okay, given by Azure. Fine. So if you extract the data from some source, so what could be the data source? Data source could be your file. Okay, I believe someone has recently joined it. Just let me admit. Hey Bhargava. So Bhargava, actually, I mean, only Parvati and Srinivas has joined. So I thought to, just give them the recap what we have done yesterday. Okay. All right. Now, so you understood the concept of storage account. So storage account is nothing but a kind of a space which is allocated to you so that you can store the data from any of the sources. And what are the sources? The sources could be of your file system, any file system like CSV, Excel, TXT, etc. Right? Sources could be your ERP applications, because ERP applications, is those application which is operating your business smoothly. Correct? It is having a lot of components like finance, sales, marketing, whatever, HR, right? So SAP is one of the ERP applications. So mostly you will get the data from SAP as well. Okay, you will get the data from any database system like Oracle database system, correct, or Teradata. For example, if you are booking a ticket using IRCTC, what will happen? The database, it is somewhere, it is connected with the database, correct? So if you have to do some data engineering activity, okay, and why you are doing the data engineering activity? Because on top of that, you can do reporting, you can create some data science models and all, correct? So this is the source of data. Okay, so if you extract the data from this source, you will have to store into the storage account. That's why we have created a storage account. So within the storage account, we used to create containers. Okay, containers are nothing but folders. Okay, for example, imagine Azure has given you a storage account you have already created, but within this storage account, you will create some folders so that you can identify the data. Okay, for example, there are some unclean data, so you will create a container name as input. Imagine in this Azure Data Factory, you know, this Azure Data Factory will be dedicated to my project. Point number one. Second point, within this Azure Data Factory, there could be multiple pipelines. Okay. For example, this pipeline is only meant to push the car's data into target, from source to target. Similarly, we have n number of data. So we will be having n number of pipelines, correct? This is the option number one. Second option is, there is a smart feature in this Azure Data Factory, that if you want to use only one pipeline, okay, and you just want to keep on changing the data. For example, this the same pipeline is pushing data to cars, same pipeline is pushing data to plane. It can be done, but it will be, I will explain you in a later stage. Okay, that is something very complex thing. Okay, right now I am giving you basic knowledge. Okay, fine. Okay, now let me show you the let me go to the home. So we have created this ADF first. Okay, this ADF has to be created if you have to create a ETL pipeline. Okay, ADF pipeline. So how to create this? You can click here, create a resource. You can search for Data Factory. This is the one, right? And you can simply create this Data Factory. Okay, you can select your choose your resource group. Then you can give some name like Data Factory test. Okay, you can select any region, is already taken for this region, that's why it is producing an error. Data Factory ADF AD classes, okay, one. Okay, because Okay, then you can you cannot review and create unless and until you are not configuring the git. Okay, so you have to choose configure git later. Okay, I will show you what is the how to can configure, because for GitHub is a is a separate, you can say, kind of. I think someone has again joined, or maybe dropped off. Okay, no issues. So I was talking, you have to use this option configure git later, because right now we are not using GitHub. Because if you have to configure, you have to select this GitHub, then you have to select the GitHub account, repository name, branch name, root folder. The purpose of this GitHub is to make sure that your work is saved in some third party company. For example, you are saving your document in Google Drive, correct? And wherever you want that document, you just open the Google Drive and download the document. This is what you are doing, correct? Similarly, we in an organization, we have an organization named GitHub. Okay, so this organization takes care of all our coding, all our development. Okay, so that I mean, you can create an account within this company. Okay, GitHub, it's as same as your Gmail account. In that account you can create a repository name. Okay, and within the repository, okay, you can collect, for example, if you have worked in SAP or any other technology, there is a provision of creating the development work in one system and moving that development work into test system and then into production. And how you are moving, there is a transport mechanism, there is a request of transport. Similarly, in GitHub we create branch. Okay, instead of transport we create branch, so that in one branch you can see tree has many branches, right? Okay, just a moment please. Done, done, done. Okay. Hey guys, sorry. Can you hear me? Okay, sorry. Okay, fine. So I was talking about the GitHub. Okay. So in Git, the purpose of this branch is to move your development from the development system to test system to production system. Okay. That's why Git is has to be configured. So I am just putting the Git configure it later. Then I will create a review and create. What will happen after doing this? Your ADF will be created. Okay. I am discarding this because I don't have to create multiple ADF. Okay. So if I created this ADF, within this ADF, you will get an option known as Open Azure Data Factory Studio. Okay, if you click here, okay, this will, because right now you are working in portal.azure.com. Okay, so you will see all the components within the cloud, within the, but this will open separately. What happened? It is not opening. Okay. So this link is nothing but adf.azure.com. Okay. So this is a separate application from where you can design a pipeline. It means you can design an ETL flow. So you can see there are four icons on the left. Home, this pencil icon is nothing but author. This is for monitor and this is for manage, right? So I will go one by one what we did yesterday. First thing we have to do is to create the link services. Okay. Then we also discussed yesterday about the integration runtime. Okay. So I will tell you as per this sheet. Okay. This is link services. Okay. Just a second. Okay. So link services is nothing but a connection string. So when we have to store the data from the source to the target, one thing you have to create is the connection between your source. So here the connection is Azure Blob only. Okay. And what is Azure Blob? As I already explained you, it is nothing but a, you can say, for example, if I give you any file to store, If it is a Word file, what you will do? You will open Microsoft Word. If it is a PowerPoint file, you will open Microsoft PowerPoint and save it. Correct. Similarly, if you have to store the data in Azure, you have an option to store into Azure Blob or ADLS Gen 2. Agreed. So right now, because we are storing data into the storage account, so we have to create a connection for this Azure Blob, because our Excel files and every files are uploaded within the storage account, and the type of storage is Azure Blob only. So we have created a link services. Now I can show you the link services that we have created. So we will go here. We will uh, we will use this option. This is the link services we have created. Okay, and I can I can help you to create one more link services in front of you. Okay, so because my source is what? My source is Azure Blob. Because actually my Excel file is, where is my Excel file, guys? My Excel file is in the storage account. Agreed? This is the storage account. If I go inside the container, my Excel file is residing in the input container. If I go in the input container, this is the Excel file which I have to, pull using pipeline. Okay, this is nothing. This actually it is a CSV file, but it is stored in Azure with the help of Blob only. Correct? That's why while creating the link services, I will choose Azure Blob storage. Okay, then I will click on continue. This is by default it is proposing me the name. If I want to change, I can change it. One is already created, that's why it's proposed for two. Then we have something known as integration runtime. Now you are suspect what is integration runtime. Okay, so you can see this entire thing is nothing but this is Azure pipeline. Okay, this pipeline will move the data from source to target, and this pipeline will move only cards data from source to target. Correct. In later stage I will tell you we can use multiple files also within the same pipeline, but and if I go with this example of moving furniture from source to target, right? This is a job done by one delivery manager, sorry, one delivery man. Correct. Similarly, we have n number of delivery man in the market. Correct. And there is a one delivery manager who is managing these delivery n number of delivery men. Those delivery manager is nothing but it's an integration runtime. Okay, so I'm telling you we have two things to discuss over here. One is link services. Okay, so what is link services, guys? Link service is a connection string. Okay, so this link service, why link service is required? Because so that my pipeline should identify from where I have to extract the data. Okay, otherwise pipeline cannot go and extract anything, and pipeline has to identify where I have to push the data, right? That's why link services connecting to the source and link services connecting to the destination is required. That's why you can see link services here and link services are here. Agreed? This contains your address. Okay, so this time we are connecting the source of input container. That's why we have chosen the Azure Blob. But this entire pipeline will run in integration runtime. Okay, so integration runtime is nothing but a platform. Okay, where your pipeline can be executed. Okay, it is a platform where your pipeline will execute. For example, when you are learning the C programming. Okay, I'm not sure if you all are from the engineering background, but imagine you learned C program. Okay, if you have created a program, the program cannot work by itself. You have to compile this program in a C compiler. Okay, similarly, you have created a pipeline, but pipeline will only execute if you have some platform. Okay, so integration runtime is a platform where pipeline can be executed. Simple definition. Okay, and as soon as I created a Azure Data Factory, so okay, so this is the integration runtime. Okay, imagine we have created a integration runtime, then we have to choose authentication key. Okay, let me create it, then I will explain integration runtime separately. Okay. The next thing we have to choose is authentication types. If we select, we have a lot of authentication type. The meaning of authentication type is to how to put our username and password here, right? I have choose account key because I have my account user ID and password. I have already logged in my account. That's why account key will work here, correct? In case if you are choosing other options like user assigned manage entity and system assigned manage entity, right? You can choose that as well. But those things you have to create a AD group, active directory group. Okay, has to be created. In Microsoft, we used to create that active directory group. And I can add your name, my name, Bhargava name, Parvati name, right? Mansa's name, everyone in that group. Okay. So whenever you are using this, you all can use with the same way. As of now, let's do it by account key, correct? Then you have to put from Azure subscription. Okay, you can put manually also. If you put manually, then static username and password will have to be given. As your subscription, you have to select your subscription free trial. Then you have to choose that this blob storage will be working only for one storage account. Okay, which storage account? If you have n number of storage account, right, but it will only choose only one storage account. Okay, so I can choose this blob storage is moving data using this one, correct? You can test the connection as well. Okay, this is successful. This is how you can create this link services. Now I am making it cancel. I don't want to create multiple link services. Okay, so as soon as you click on create, it will deploy and create link services. Okay, with respect to blob storage. So whenever you have to move the data within the blob or out using the blob, you can use this link services. Okay, now coming to you to explain the integration runtime. If you go there, this is what we have not created. It is automatically created by the system. Okay, and the name of this is auto resolve integration runtime. So this platform will be given to you as soon as you are creating any Azure Data Factory. This platform will be given to you, and the purpose of this platform, or it means integration runtime, is to allow you to execute the pipelines. Okay, if this pipeline is moving data within the storage account. Okay, so IR is automatically created. You can mention this auto IR. Okay. So this, the purpose of this auto IR is to move the data, right, within storage account. Okay. For example, if you have to move the data, you have two containers, input container and output container. If you have to move the data from, input container to output container, this auto IR will be in execution, correct? If you have to move the data from input container to Azure SQL DB, okay, it means whatever you want to do, a data transformation, data movement, copy data, whatever you want to do, only auto IR will work if the system is within the Azure, if you are working within the Azure limit. Okay, if you have to extract the data outside from Azure, for example, you want to extract the data from SAP, and SAP is a third party environment, or you want to extract the data from Oracle DB or Teradata, this auto IR will not work because this is not within the Azure. This is outside the Azure. So if you have to pull the data from these applications, you have to create a self-hosted integration runtime. Okay, and this I will explain in the later stage because there is a topic given to you before we started this class, right, where you can see self-hosted integration runtime is also existing there, correct? Agreed. So this is the concept of this thing. Okay, now coming back to, because we have created link services, now we have to create the data set and copy activity. Okay, so I am just showing you by creating if you have to create a pipeline, you have to click on this pencil icon. Okay guys, if you're not understanding or if you want me to repeat anything, please call this out. Okay, anytime. So if you click here, you can see the options like pipeline, data set, data flow, and data query. I am just directly going inside the this option and click on the new pipeline. Okay, then in the new pipeline, you can see that this is the copy activity we are doing. So in this pipeline, there is a lot of activities like copy activity, and the purpose of copy activity is to extract the data from the source to the target. Agreed? So while extracting the data from the source to the target, we can use the copy activity, no problem. But we should be understanding what is the role of data set. Okay, so if you see the data set, this data set is nothing but a, for example, this Excel file is having 500 columns. Okay, but you only want to extract 100 columns out of 500, because if 100 columns are useful to you, why you will extract other columns like entire 500? Because it will consume your memory, it will take more time as well, right? And it will, you have to bear more cost as well. That's why a data set will be having only 100 columns, because you want only 100 columns, right? So that's why this data set is important. So it means data set contain the structure of data, right, which is supposed to be extracted. Okay, similarly, this structure, this is again a data set which will be the replica of your data structure, which you are going to push into the target. For example, here you are having 100 columns, but after doing copy activity, you might have created more columns, like 5 more columns. Okay, you have drive 5 more columns, so this will become 105. So this data set cannot be used. The data set of for target should have to be there. So there is a provision of two kinds of data set, one for the source and another for the sink. So if this column is having it can be added, it can be removed. Okay, because earlier we started with 100 columns, but if you want only to drop some of the columns during the copy activity, you can do that, or if you want to add some of the columns, you can do that. Correct? So that's why this data set has to be there. Anyways, we can go into the practical, and what we can do, we can simply drag and drop this copy activity here. Okay, I did that. Then I'm having you can name anything, like you can see that copy cards data. Okay, fine. Then description, you can leave it blank. If you want, you can put it also that what this card data contains. Then timeout is a 7 days, you have to leave everything by default. Okay, then we have something known as source. Okay, so in the source, now this is the data set which we are talking about. Okay, so what are the structure of data I want to pull? You can create this data set here also, but best way to create here only, because it is giving you option to create from here. If you click on the new, correct, again it will ask for the what kind of data set you have to do. So what I should select, because I have to create this data set, right? So this data set will be using this link services, okay, as per the diagram. And this link services is created for Blob, because this link services will pull the data from input container, and in input container, this CSV file is stored as a blob. Okay, so it means if I have to create a data set, here I should choose Azure Blob. Any doubt in this part, guys? I know Bhargava and Mansa is very clear, but guys, if you have any doubt, like Parvati and Srinivas, please speak up. Okay, so my only motive is when we are creating a data set, we should be knowing what we have to choose, because our CSV file is stored in the blob. So that's why I will choose this as a blob, because when I choose this as a blob, it will ask for the link services, and I have created a link services which is connecting with this blob. Okay, so I will continue. Then my data is stored in CSV format in the blob, so I will click choose the CSV, correct? Then I will click on continue. Then uh, I can give simple name, like I'm creating a data set, so I have given ds. Okay, ds underscore. Okay, you can say cars input data. Okay, because it will, this data set will be input data only, correct? Then I choose the link services because this link services is having address of my blob. Okay, then I will choose the, from this folder. So this is what we have to select. Okay, then my first row will be a header. My first row in this car CSV is a header. Okay, that's why I've choose this. Now we have to use three options from connect import schema. So this option will help us to import the structure of the, table. Okay, what are the structures? So I have to choose from connection store. Okay, because I have to import anything. If I don't have to import, I will choose none. So always for the input part, we have to select this option, because the purpose of this thing is to import the structure, because we are trying to create a structure. As I mentioned you just few minutes before, that our purpose of this data set is to, define the structure which we are going to extract. And if I don't use the from connection store, what will happen? The structure will not be imported, right? That's why I use this option from connection store. Okay, and what is the connection? Connection is nothing but a link services. So it will extract the structure with the reference of this link services, and it will create the data set, right? That's why we have used this. Okay, then I will click on OK. So you can see that uh, this data set is created for this source. Okay, if you want to see the data, okay, you can click here, and you can see this is the data it is populating from car CSV, which is actually stored here. Okay, which is actually stored here. If I click here and I click on edit, the same data will be populated here. Okay, like this. Anyways, so this is how we have managed the source. So now I have to manage the sync definition. So for sync also we have to create a data set. Okay, then again, as of now, if I go with this diagram, I should create a SQL database, and in that SQL DB my table has to be there, and I have to create a link services. Okay, so this case study we will do in next 30 minutes. Okay, but after completing this. Okay, now this yesterday we have not used the SQL DB, but yesterday we have used the output container. Okay, so instead of SQL, this should be Azure Blob. Okay, so my purpose is to, guys, okay, my purpose is to move my data from input container to output container within the storage account itself, and both is a of type blob. Okay, if you see, the data stored in these container is of Azure Blob. That's why here again we will select, while creating the data set, we will not select the SQL DB in this example, but we will select the blob storage. Okay, just a second. Yeah, so I have to select the blob storage, then I will click on continue. Then again, do I need to push the data in binary or CSV? Let me push the data in CSV itself. I clicked on OK. Then I used to create ds underscore cars output. Okay, then I will choose the link services which will help me to connect with the blob. So this is the link services. Now interesting part is, here I have to choose which folder I have to, put this. So I have to put this in the output folder. Okay, so I have selected output folder. Correct. Under this output folder, I have to generate an output, and it should be having first row as a header. So I have kept first row as a header. Now you tell me, do I need to choose this one from connection store or what? I should choose none, because we are generating the output. And if we generate the output, output has its own structure, right? Output has its own column. Okay, so I have kept none because I don't have to import any structure from anywhere, correct? That's why I have kept none, and I clicked on OK, right? So my source and sink information is done. Then we can go to mapping. It's not mandatory. Mapping is nothing but if you want to make some definition change while coming from source to sink, right? So if you want to make some definition change, definition means renaming the column. Definition means the for example, if my name is stored in a string, I want to convert my data type from string to integer of anything. So I can click on this import schema. Oh, it's failed. Why it is failed? Okay, there is some problem. It should not be failed. Okay, sometime this breaks. Okay, now if I clicked on this import schema, I can see that this is stored. Hey,